With our coverage, and the three-day NCCK Elders Clergy Forum ends today with a joint communique on peaceful elections to be issued on credible elections. Now, on Monday, IEBC Chair Wafula Chebukati, who was the chief guest, warned the opposition coalition NASA to abandon their plan to set up a parallel tallying center.
We shall work with the other state agencies as to, it's about law and order. Now, if somebody announces results which are not correct, it's a recipe for chaos. And we, as a country, we are preaching peace here. That's why we are here. And we don't want a situation where chaos are created by an individual. And therefore, I believe the law will take its course if that happens.
Politicians are stakeholders who are legitimate, competing in these elections. In law, nobody can be a judge in their own case. The commissioners have never run another election. I think until the election is actually run, so that Kenyans can see how it is conducted, the results are announced, nobody has a basis to prejudge the commission and say that it can or it cannot run the election independently, freely, and credibly.
All right, so that forum comes to an end today, but we want to have a conversation about it here in studio. Joining me right now is Reverend Elias Agol. Thank you so much for joining us on News Center.
Thank you, Betty.
All right, so maybe you can start by talking to us about this forum. I mean, this is not the first time that we've seen, the church groups and religious leaders coming together to discuss matters to do with credible elections, peaceful elections. What really was the premise of this particular one this time round?
Thank you, Betty. As Kenyans know that NCCK is topper in the agenda of peace before, during, and after elections. And NCCK has been doing this over and over again. And this is not the first time we are doing it. But the reason why we come at such a time is because of the past experiences. If you remember the year 2007, we came out and we talked about peace, 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 peace. But what we got was a bit of shocking. In fact, nobody expected that Kenyans will butcher one another and kill one another. And so the premise for this gathering that is going on and ending today in Limuru is to bring people together to talk about peace, because looking at what happened in 2007, 2008, there is likely to be a repeat if we don't tame our tongues, if we don't talk as Kenyans, and if we don't see ahead of, over and above the 8th of August. And so we bring together the clergy, we have brought together women, youths, church elders, and elders from different communities in Nairobi to talk about peace before the elections, during elections, and after the elections.
All right.
Yes.
Reverend, these forums are obviously, they're great, and the intention is extremely genuine and for the better good of the country. But how do you make sure that everything that you discuss, in the boardrooms and in the places that this one is in Limuru, actually trickle down to the people themselves? Because it's great to discuss this at a higher level, but if it doesn't trickle down there, then I don't think it will make any sense.
This one is a bit different. It is not dealing with the church leaders at a higher level. It is dealing with leaders at grassroots. In fact, the recruitments were done at the ward level. And every ward had to bring us at least 2 persons from every sector. That is the youth, the women, the clergy, and so on. And so this is down at the grassroots. And today, we are working on our work plan on how we are going to go down there as delegates who came for this conference, and also to have a follow-up from the NCCK office, so that at least we see that we don't just talk, as you say, but we also do it down there. And we hope that this is going to help us.
All right.
Yes.
Let's talk about the current situation in the country, and I mean, even from the story that we've just been covering right now,
Yeah.
you know, it's a bit chaotic if you ask. We're just about 125 days to the elections, and you know, we still have scenes like what we saw in Migori, and the politicians really are not helping because they're throwing words at each other, left, right, center. What is your assessment right now of how the environment is in the country?
To speak the truth in love is that the situation is not pleasing. It's not pleasing, it's not good, and you cannot apportion this to a particular political divide because we can see it in every region.
All of them, yes.
You can see it in Mombasa, you can see it in Nairobi, you can see it in the Jubilee strongholds and the NASA, whatever you call it, strongholds.
Right.
And you see that we cannot say that this area is safe, this area is not safe, this area is abiding to the law, this is not abiding to the law. We can just see that unless politicians zip their mouths to, you know, to speech that is hate speech or is likely to cause chaos, chaos is going to erupt. We can see what is happening in Migori, yeah? And I'm very sure that if there are, then there are very few Jubilee people there. So who is fighting there? It is the NASA themselves. Who was fighting in Nyeri? It was the Jubilee themselves. So what are we talking about here? Unless we come and say that we are Kenyans and we have to do things in a peaceful manner and we have to preach peace from our pulpits, from wherever we are, political class, in fact, even the economic class, whoever is talking in Kenya and has time to talk to Kenyans through even the media, we have to talk peace.
All right. And it's one thing to talk peace,
Yes.
Reverend, but do you think that Kenyans, and especially learning from what happened in the past, 2007, and even the small incidents we've had, the pockets of violence we've had in the country, you know, even during this four-year period,
Yeah.
do you think we have that moral consciousness that even if the church doesn't come and preach to us that we need to be peaceful, that, you know, we ourselves, you know, we'll take that responsibility as citizens of the country? Do you think Kenyans have that moral consciousness?
It is our hope and call that Kenyans should have moral conscience, to talk about peace and to practice peace, to pray peace, to act peace, to move peace, and to work in a peaceful environment. And I think it is a challenge to all of us that wherever we are and where we can make influence, let us talk and act peace, because that's the only thing we need in Kenya. We do not need a repeat of what happened in 2007, 2008. We don't need to be in the Rwanda situation to learn from it. We don't need to be in situations that are alarming to learn from it. In fact, in our conference that is going on today, yesterday we were asking ourselves what are the possible scenarios, and we got 4 scenarios
of the elections.
One is that we are going to have very good elections, I mean credible elections, peaceful and not peaceful, credible elections, but after that then we have chaos.
So that's scenario 1.
That is scenario 1. Scenario 2, we have a bad elections, yeah, but we choose to be peaceful.
Is that really?
That is scenario 2.
Possible?
It is possible.
Okay.
And that was coming from the plenaries.
Okay.
Scenario 3, we have bad elections and it is followed by chaos. Yeah? And the majority were subscribing to that and saying that is what is seen across the country, especially in Nairobi. But then scenario 4 is where we have good elections that are followed by peace.
Peace.
Yeah?
I want to talk to you
that
about...
That is the heaven one
Right.
that we are hoping and praying for.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, if we don't tame our mouths and if we act violence, then we are going to get violence.
I want to tackle scenario 3, which
Yes.
is the bad elections and consequently, you know, chaos, which
Yes.
we hope won't happen.
Yes.
But let's say that, you know, that happens. I mean, the people, there were the stakeholders, the people who were part of the forum, one of them was IEBC.
Yeah.
So what do they have to say? Is that we're saying that we do not trust that IEBC is going to deliver a credible election? What is that message then sending?
IEBC and the police, because we were with the IEBC and we had the representative of the the Inspector General, and they ably tackled these issues. And they told us that, in fact, IEBC said, people are out there shouting and saying we are not prepared. They said, no, we are prepared. And we are making all the arrangements to make sure that we are going to have credible elections. But the issue of peace rests on the Kenyans themselves. Because we deliver credible elections and somebody says that is not credible, then what are we going to do?
All right.
In fact, the problem of Kenyans, they told us, and that is the truth, is not the institutions. It is us, the individuals in Kenya.
Okay.
And so scenario 3 is not likely to happen if we Kenyans take the instrument called peace and show it all over and do it all over and act it all over and say it all over.
All right, let me ask you something that, IEBC is dealing with currently, and that is the opposition, saying and proposing that, they have their own parallel tallying system. Of course, IEBC has come out to say that that's not constitutional, but what is the church stand on that?
The church is standing with the institutions that are there, and that is the IEBC. What IEBC is saying is what is in the law. And anybody who is going to have a separate tallying center, they have always had them, but now they are coming louder and saying we are going to have it. IEBC is saying have it, but base it on what the information that we have. If you base it on another thing, then that is wrong. 2, IEBC is also saying that the person that is charged with the responsibility to manage elections, manage means begin with it the way they have been doing it and conducting credible elections and giving credible results is IEBC and not any other person. So from whichever tallying station, if they are going to make announcements that whatever IEBC is saying is not true, then that is against the law, because who is supposed to inform the Kenyans about the election results? The IEBC. So IEBC is saying that is wrong and it is against the law, and that is what the church is also saying.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Reverend.
Yes,
thank you so much for your time, Reverend.
Sante sana.
Elias Agol there speaking to us about this forum that NCCK leaders and, of course, other stakeholders have been having for the last 2 days. Thank you for your time. So we'll take a break here on News Center, but we'll come back and we'll still be focusing on some of those top stories that we're looking at. And so don't go. We'll be right back after a minute or two.